Hello everybody, this is Yoko's Anime Reactions, and this is going to be my review for Black Clover episodes 70 to 72. I will try to get more recorded in the future. I apologize for not getting more like Dragon Ball Z Abridged. I apologize for not getting Monster Rancher more done. I apologize, but I haven't been able to really record. The most I've been able to record is probably these videos, because these are easily, edited, essentially. And I just like being able to record and not have to worry about interruptions. Because, like I said, it's easier to do in the editing process. It's less to take out. Because usually, if I don't have any interruptions, all I gotta do is take out the opening. And that's about it, essentially, because any other interruptions I'd have to take out too if I had any. So, yeah, I am currently waiting for the tech to call us. Here's hoping he shows up before I have to leave today. And when I say before I have to leave, I am going with my assistant manager. We're going to spend some time together, just having a girl's time, essentially. I'm going to get her to watch more Dr. Stone, more Cells at Work, and if we finish, don't think we're going to be able to finish Dr. Stone today. We might have a chance at finishing Cells at Work. I am not sure. Maybe. If we do... If we do finish Cells at Work today, I might try and get... If we have time, I might get her to watch one episode of My Hero Academia. See if she'd want to watch that. That's what I'm planning on doing today. So, if I can't get anything uploaded else today until I get home, then, maybe this will tide you guys over. Anyway, the star ceremony happens in this episode. This is why I had the door shut. This is exactly why I had the door shut. I think my mom would figure it out by now. If I have the door shut, that's for a reason, to record without people hearing what I'm saying. Anyway, obviously the number one rookie for this year was Yuno. And yeah, some of the others aren't taking it that well. That Yuno is number one. Asa's obviously excited for his friend. And they get to all the other captains showing up, and obviously Yami and Captain Charlotte are nowhere to be seen because, well, Charlotte's out cold. And Yami just couldn't be bothered, essentially. And we actually see that, I'm sleepy today, guys. Anyway, we see that the new temporary captain for the Crimson Lion Kings is Fugolion's sister, Mary Leon, something like that. I don't remember. Mary Leona. I don't know. But, yeah, she's got a bit of a temper. And we see her later take out her temper on the rest of the squad because, the places aren't, what they expected. Anyway, they start ranking all the different squads and how many, stars they managed to get, so far, and obviously the Golden Dawn was in first place. I mean, it was a given. If they hadn't been in first place, I would have been very shocked. And apparently they set a new record of stars. I don't know how many. But what surprised me was who was in second place. Now, we know, I don't remember which episode it was, but the Black Bulls had gotten out of the negatives and had gotten to just having one regular star instead of being negative stars. However, I had no idea how many stars they had gotten in that time period because they were in second place, which shocked everybody. Even Gordon enough to talk in a normal tone instead of his usual mumbling. And I'm like, dang. And like I said, everybody was shocked at this. And then they start going down. No, wait, they don't start going down the list yet. Sorry. Still kind of tired. Anyway, they named the number one rookie on that team, essentially, who's essentially gotten them the most stars so far, and that is obviously Asta. And Yami just grabs him by the collar of his robe and just chucks him over the crowd and onto the stage. And yeah, everybody, Seke decides to open his big mouth and claim and tell everybody that they are, Asta and Yuno are commoners, and that Asta doesn't have any magic power at all. And this starts to get the crowd doubting that, they really earned all those stars. And Yuno decides to put on a show to prove why they earned all those stars. So he sends a very powerful wind attack at Asta, and Asta reacts instinctively and destroys it with a sword, obviously. Proving, essentially, that, yeah, they've got the skill to back it up. Even despite Asta not having any magic power. Anyway, the funny part happens. Well, they obviously do the ranking for all the other squads. I don't remember who was third place, but I do know that the Aqua Deer were last place, which I kind of found a little funny. Anyway, the king comes out, and this guy, I don't know why this guy is king. I had to agree with Asta on this one, because if anybody deserved to be king, it needed to be the Wizard King, because he's more charismatic, he's strong, all the people love him, essentially. It just makes perfect sense. And he also does what he can for the people. So, I mean, it makes perfect sense that he should be the actual king instead of just the Wizard King. I mean, obviously he should be the Wizard King too, but still. And, yeah, the king is just desperate for praise and attention, that he ends up telling everybody that they have a plan to take out the Eye of the Midnight Sun, and that is to gather the strongest of the strong out of all the different squads and form a new squad to go and take them out, and that they know where their hideout is. And I'm like, are you stupid or something? Because you guys all know that there was a traitor in the Magic Knights. There could be a traitor in that square right now that is spying for the Eye of the Midnight Sun. And you just outed your plan to them, if that was the case. Which, hope to God there wasn't. But, if worst case if there was, yeah, the king just went and blabbed their entire plan. What they should have done was, greet everybody and then wait until the ceremony and everything was over and gather up all the squads in one place in the castle and explain to them, the plan. That way, if there is a traitor in the citizens, they wouldn't hear it. The only way they would hear it is if there was actually another traitor in the squads. But yeah, Asta brings up a few fair points when he's talking about the king and essentially dissing the king while he's talking to Yuno. And the king hears all this and doesn't like this because, he's being criticized, essentially. And, I mean, yeah, Asta has a fair point. If the king has got this amazing magic power, why doesn't he use it to better the people and make things better for his kingdom? So that way everybody is loyal. Because you really do not want enemies in your kingdom. You do not want people to do essentially a coup d'etat. You don't want that. So the best way to avoid that is to help your subjects be loyal, and the best way to do that is to make sure that they are safe and protected, and that, that or they are essentially, the kingdom cares about them. And the king calls for them to be executed. And I'm like, no, that's not a smart idea. You trying to execute the ones who were the best of the best just because they badmouthed you, or at least Asta did. Didn't really say too much. But, yeah, that wouldn't have gone over well. If you guys got a differing opinion, let me know. But, yeah, I mean, Asta is entitled to his opinion. Whether everybody agrees with his opinion or not is a different story, but obviously nobody has to agree with him. Anyway, dang it. God dang, I am so dang sleepy. Anyway, Julius manages to calm this guy down and avoid a possible execution. And later, Julius and Asta and were talking, and as they head back down after the talk, they run into Mary Leona, or whatever the heck her name is, essentially criticizing her team because they were not in first place. And I'm like, when were they ever in first place? Because you would think that the Golden Dawn would be in first place every year. Or then again, she was also getting mad about them not being in first or second, so I'm guessing they were consistently second place every year, because I'm assuming, like I said, the Golden Dawn would have been in first place. If I'm wrong, let me know. I like learning about all this stuff. And yeah, Asta and are listening in on this conversation, and the squad ends up defending their captain when she started insulting him. And yeah, I have to agree. He was probably one of the best Magic Knight captains around. Not just in terms of power, but in terms of being, what you should be as a Magic Knight, as a good person, essentially. And yeah, she catches them eavesdropping and not only tells her team that she's going to be training them at a hot spring, and she's going to be dragging Asta, and or either Asta and along with her. And I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be good. And later, we see Yami celebrating that they are essentially in second place and essentially dissing the other captains because they lost to the Black Bulls. And I'm like, seriously, man, you are wasted. And I love that every time everybody tried to get violent, the barkeep would suddenly stop them with a simple drink and telling them that, no offensive magic in the building. Which makes me wonder, why didn't they just take it outside if they wanted to fight Yami so badly? They could have just walked out the door and started attacking him. And I guess the drink was enough to placate them. Anyway, she shows up with Asta and and Leo. And Yami's laughing at them because they got caught by her. And she drags him along. And Captain Charlotte as well, because, they never showed up to the ceremony. Because, yeah. And when she grabs Captain Charlotte, Soul just grabs on her saying that if you're going, I'm going, essentially. And I'm like, really, girl? But yeah, is she a closeted lesbian or something? Because she's not really closeted, because she's kind of making it openly obvious. So, I mean, let me know, please. Anyway, Noelle pops her head in, asking what's going on. And when she sees Mariella, she's like, I'm out. And she tries to leave. But she's grabbed, and I'm like, she probably needs the training the most. To be completely honest, because she does definitely need to be trained on how to control her magic better. She's getting better at it, but she definitely needs some extra help. And yeah, they head to what is an erupting volcano that is apparently in a high magic area, or high magic region, like the underwater temple. And apparently there's a hot spring there, but later on we see that's at night. And they are expected to climb to the peak. Yeah. This is where we learn about mana skin and how it's used, and just about everybody uses it except for Asta, obviously, because he has no magic. So that means he's at another disadvantage, and he has a hard time even getting close because of how bad the mana is, and the heat and everything combined is just not good. Anyway, Mary Leona, however you pronounce her name, she shows up and starts essentially trying to motivate him to get up to that dang mountaintop. And Asta gets the bright idea he uses ki on himself, or tries to sense ki in himself to see how what he finds, and it turns out that black power he had before was coming from his sword and had essentially filled his entire body up. And he unlocks this power, but however, when he does use it, he can't control it. So essentially, it just takes him to the top of the mountain. And he goes through a magical fiery lava golem, or whatever the heck you want to call it, on the way up. And Leo obviously calls that new form Black Asta, which I mean, it makes sense. And the funny thing is that I think Captain Yami and Charlotte already got to the top first, and then Yono gets there next. Right as he lands, Asta just shoots up and goes straight for Mary Leona. And I'm like, ooh. It gets to be nighttime, and the lava has suddenly disappeared, and the hot spring appears. Soul uses her magic to create a giant earth wall separating the hot spring in half, so that way there's a men's side and a women's side. And she tries to offer Captain Charlotte a drink, and I'm like, no, don't do that. She's a lightweight. She can't even handle one drink. She has to take a sip, and then she's out. And the funny thing is that Belle wants a drink, and I'm like, if anybody's a lightweight, it's her, because look how tiny she is. And like I thought, she is a lightweight. And, I really do think that Soul is a lesbian, and they're kind of making it a little obvious, because, yeah, she starts talking to Noelle and trying to wash her hair, while trying to entice her to join the Blue Rose. I'm like, okay. Dang it. I knocked the phone over. Anyway, some of them decide to have little fantasies when they mentioned the hot spring before. I mean, Noelle has one involving Asta. Captain Charlotte has a few involving Yami. Let me see. Asta just has a vision of a hot spring in general. I mean, the guy's kind of dense. He only focuses on Sister Lily, even though she can't marry because she's a nun. When Noelle is crushing on him hard. I mean, everybody else... Kahano sees it. Her brother, however, is still crushing on her, so it's not really obvious to everybody yet. But we get to see a little bit of Noelle's mother in this episode when they're flashing back to her, when she was pregnant. And apparently, Noelle's becoming more and more like her as time goes on. I mean, she definitely resembles her mother a lot physically. And apparently, she was the one who told Mary Leona about the hot spring in the first place. And I found it hilarious that Yami was the one who suggested that they try to peep on the girls' side. I'm like, y'all are gonna die. If Soul doesn't try and kill y'all, Mary Leona will. And y'all don't want that. Anyway, they obviously try, and she just makes the wall bigger. I'm like, yes, you're lucky she didn't try and kill y'all. And I found it hilarious that Yuno wasn't even interested in that. Well, then again, he hasn't really had many interactions with women in this show as far as I know. The only ones he's had interactions with is Sister Lily, and he don't think he's interested. And Mimosa, and I don't think she's interested in Yuno, and she's interested in Asta. I mean, so yeah, he hasn't really had any really experience with women, so he's not really interested in peeping. And Yami wasn't happy with that. He probably thought, oh, it's natural for a guy to try and peep because curiosity, and I'm like, no, don't force poor Yuno to do that. Anyway, I gotta edit this stupid thing. I'll see you guys next time.